I want to talk to you about something that most people don't recognize when they're inside it. There's a season of life that feels like things are falling apart. Like the ground under your feet is uncertain. Like the old version of your life no longer quite fits, but the new version hasn't arrived yet. You feel unsettled, not lost exactly, but not sure either. Like something is ending, and something else is beginning, but you can't quite see what that something else is yet. This is one of the most uncomfortable places a person can be. And it's also, according to Wayne Dyer, one of the most important. He called it a preparation season. And after 40 years of watching people's lives, he had one consistent observation about it. The people who trusted what was unfolding in that season, who stayed in the discomfort instead of running from it, who leaned into the uncertainty instead of desperately trying to recreate the past, those people almost always came out the other side more aligned, more capable, and more themselves than they'd ever been. The people who panicked, who forced things back to how they were, who shut down, numbed out, or tried to skip past the discomfort as quickly as possible, they usually circled back to the same season again. A little later, a little heavier, because the season wasn't random, it was specific, it was building something, and you don't get to skip what's being built. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 signs that you're in a preparation season right now, and what to do when you recognize them. The first sign is a specific quality of feeling, and I want to describe it carefully because there's a distinction here that matters. It's not depression, it's not confusion in the "I have no direction" sense. It's more like restlessness, a sense that something in your life needs to shift. That where you are isn't wrong exactly, but it's not quite right either. That some part of you has already moved on from a situation your outer life hasn't caught up with yet. Wayne Dyer described this feeling as the call of the spirit. He believed, and I think he was right, that there is a part of you that always knows when you're living below your authentic potential. That always knows when a role, a relationship, a path, or a way of being has run its course. And that part of you communicates through this specific feeling, unsettled. Not desperate, not hopeless, just not quite settled into where you are. That unsettledness is information. It's not a problem to be fixed. It's a signal to be listened to. The natural response to feeling unsettled is to try to settle yourself, to find something that makes the feeling go away. A distraction, a purchase, a new project, a return to the familiar comfort of something old. Dyer's suggestion was the opposite. Sit with the unsettledness. Don't fix it immediately. Ask it what it knows. What is this feeling trying to tell me? What part of my life is it pointing to? What would settling here mean for who I'm becoming? The unsettledness is not the enemy. It's the compass. The second sign is one that people often experience with confusion or even grief. And that's this: something that used to work for you, a relationship, a career, a social circle, a way of spending your time, has started to feel wrong. Not necessarily bad, just wrong. Like wearing a shirt that used to fit perfectly and now just doesn't. Wayne Dyer believed this was one of the clearest signs of growth. Not failure, growth. Here's his reasoning. When you grow, when your values shift, when your awareness expands, when you become more authentically yourself, you naturally outgrow things that fit the previous version of you. This is not a problem. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. The problem is that most people interpret the feeling of outgrowing something as a sign that they're being disloyal or ungrateful or somehow wrong for feeling it. They try to force the fit. They try to shrink themselves back into something that no longer has room for who they're becoming. Dyer was gentle but direct about this. You cannot honor both your growth and your resistance to growth at the same time. At some point, you have to choose. The old life not fitting is not a sign that something is broken. It's a sign that something is growing. Now, this doesn't mean you immediately blow up everything that no longer fits. Change doesn't always require drama, but it does require honesty. Honesty with yourself about what's still genuinely right for you and what you've been staying in out of habit, fear, or obligation. That honesty is the beginning of the next chapter. Sign 3 is the one that tends to feel the most uncomfortable in the moment. And that's doors closing, plans that fall through, opportunities that don't come together, relationships that end or change, paths that seemed open and then weren't, efforts that don't result in the outcomes you expected. When this happens repeatedly, when doors seem to keep closing, no matter what you do, the natural human response is to feel like something is wrong. Like you're doing something wrong, or life is working against you, or you're uniquely unlucky. Wayne Dyer had a completely different interpretation. He often quoted a line that I think is genuinely one of the most useful ideas I've ever encountered. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. That's not originally Dyer, it's Helen Keller. But Dyer built an entire philosophy around it. Closed doors are directional information. They are telling you, not this way, not now, not with these people, not in this form. That's not punishment, that's guidance. The question is not, why does this keep not working? The question is, what direction does this keep pointing me in? When multiple doors close in the same area of your life, when the same kind of opportunity keeps not materializing, when the same type of relationship keeps not working, there is almost always a deeper message. Something you're being redirected away from, or toward. Dyer's practice when doors closed. Sit quietly and ask, what is this redirecting me toward? Not, why is this happening to me? What is this redirecting me toward? Very often, with some time and some honest reflection, the answer becomes clear. Sign 4 is closely related to sign 3, but it's distinct in an important way. It's the feeling that you're being asked, by life, by circumstances, by whatever you understand as something larger than yourself, to let go of something you've been holding. Maybe it's a belief about yourself that used to protect you, but has started limiting you. Maybe it's a resentment you've been carrying that has become heavier than it's worth. Maybe it's a version of your identity, a role, a label, a story that was true for a while, but isn't anymore. Maybe it's a relationship that has genuinely run its course. Maybe it's a goal you set a long time ago, for reasons that no longer reflect who you are. Wayne Dyer taught that the preparation season almost always involves this specific work, letting go of what was. Not because it was wrong, but because what comes next cannot arrive while you're still gripping what was. He used the image of a trapeze artist. There's a moment in the trapeze when you have to let go of the bar you're holding before the next bar is within reach. That moment in between, when you've released one bar and haven't yet caught the other, is the scariest moment. You're in free fall, nothing is secured, but the only way to get to the next bar is to let go of the current one. Dyer believed that the feeling of being asked to let go is one of the clearest signs of a preparation season, and that the willingness to release, to open your hands, and trust that something worth holding is coming, is one of the most profound acts of faith a person can make. Sign 5 is the one that tends to be the hardest to explain to other people. But if you've felt it, you know exactly what I mean. It's a pull, a call, a persistent sense that you're meant to be doing something that you're not yet doing. That there's a contribution you're here to make that you haven't quite made yet. That somewhere, not necessarily far from where you are, but somewhere in a direction you can almost see, there is a version of your life that would feel more like you. Wayne Dyer called this the in-spirit call. From the Latin in spiritus, to be in spirit. He believed that every human being has a particular form of expression that is uniquely theirs. A specific way of contributing to the world that only they can contribute in exactly the way they would contribute it. And he believed that the soul communicates this through exactly this feeling. The sense that something deeper is calling you. Now, this doesn't always sound like a dramatic calling. It doesn't always feel like a revelation. Sometimes it sounds like, I keep thinking about going back to school. I keep feeling pulled toward this work. I keep imagining what my life would look like if I made this change. I keep dreaming about this thing and waking up feeling more alive than I did before the dream. Those persistent pulls, the ones that keep coming back, no matter how many times you dismiss them. Those are the call. Dyer's practice was to take one small step toward the call. Not a dramatic leap, just one step, a conversation, a class, a book, a 15-minute experiment. See what happens when you move toward it. The call gets louder when you move toward it. It gets quieter when you ignore it, but it doesn't go away. Sign 6 is one that I think is particularly useful because it's so concrete. And it's this: there's a question you keep coming back to. Not the same worry, the same question. There's a difference. A worry is, what if this goes wrong? It's backward looking, or catastrophe anticipating. It doesn't lead anywhere productive. A question is, what if I tried this? What if I said yes to this? What if this is actually what I'm meant to be doing? What if the thing I keep dismissing as impractical is actually the most important thing? Wayne Dyer believed that recurring questions are one of the soul's primary languages. That the questions you can't stop asking, the ones that come back, regardless of how many times you try to put them aside, contain important information about the direction of your life. He had a practice around this that I find genuinely useful. He called it the question journaling practice. Every week, he would sit quietly and ask, what question keeps coming back to me that I haven't answered yet? And then he would write honestly about what he thought that question was pointing to. Not answering it definitively, just exploring what direction it seemed to be pointing in. Over time, the recurring questions revealed a pattern, and that pattern was the direction of his next chapter. If there's a question you keep returning to, something you think about in the shower, or right before you fall asleep, or when you have a quiet moment, that question is worth your attention. It's not random, it's pointing somewhere. What question keeps coming back for you? Sign 7 is one that Wayne Dyer loved to talk about. And once you start noticing it, you'll see it everywhere. It's the phenomenon of the right people appearing at the right time. You're thinking about making a change, and someone enters your life who has done exactly that change. You're wrestling with a question, and you meet someone who has wrestled with the same question. You need specific knowledge, or skill, or encouragement, and someone who carries exactly that shows up. Dyer called this synchronicity, a word from Carl Jung that describes meaningful coincidences that seem to go beyond chance. He believed deeply in the reality of synchronicity, not as magic, but as the natural result of being in alignment, of being in a genuine preparation season, where your frequency is shifting, and your receptiveness to what you need is increasing. Here's the practical piece: most people experience these coincidences and dismiss them. Oh, interesting timing, and then nothing changes. Dyer's observation was, the people who end up transforming their lives are the ones who don't dismiss the coincidences. They treat them as information. They follow up, they ask the question, they have the conversation, they accept the invitation. The right people appear in preparation seasons more frequently than at any other time. But you have to be paying attention, and you have to be willing to engage when they do. Who has appeared in your life recently that you haven't given enough attention to? What conversation have you been putting off? What invitation have you received that you haven't yet responded to? The preparation season provides everything you need, but you have to receive what it provides. So you recognize some of these signs in your life right now. Maybe several of them. What do you actually do? Wayne Dyer had very specific guidance here, and it's not what most people expect. The first thing: stop trying to fix it. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the preparation season is not a problem to be solved, it's a process to move through. When you go into fix-it mode, you tend to force things back to how they were. You try to close the question, resolve the uncertainty, and return to solid ground as quickly as possible. And in doing so, you often interrupt exactly what the season is trying to build. The second thing: get quiet. Deliberately, regularly, make time for stillness, meditation, long walks without your phone, journaling, whatever form of quiet works for you. Because the preparation season is communicating with you, and it communicates in stillness, not in noise. The third thing: move toward the signs. If doors are closing in one direction, what's opening in another? If something old no longer fits, what's calling you forward? If a question keeps coming back, what would it look like to take one small step toward the answer? The fourth thing: release the timeline. This is hard, but a preparation season has its own pace. It cannot be hurried. You can cooperate with it, or resist it, but you cannot accelerate it by sheer will. Trust that what's being built is being built at the right speed. And the fifth thing, perhaps the most important: trust yourself. You are not lost. The unsettledness you feel is not a flaw, it's intelligence. It knows something your conscious mind is still catching up to. Trust it. Wayne Dyer had multiple preparation seasons throughout his life. He talked about them openly. In his early 30s, after a successful academic career that felt increasingly hollow, he went through a season of profound questioning. Nothing dramatic was falling apart on the outside, but on the inside, something was deeply unsettled. The question that kept coming back: what are you actually here to do? He followed that question. He left the comfortable academic position. He wrote Your Erroneous Zones, and drove around America, in a station wagon, selling copies out of the trunk, because no publisher believed in it. That season was uncomfortable, uncertain, and completely right. The book went on to sell 35 million copies. In his late 50s, he went through another preparation season. The more practical, psychology-focused work he built his career on was giving way to something more spiritual. Some of his existing audience was confused. His identity as a teacher was shifting, but something deeper was calling him toward ancient wisdom, the Tao, the teachings of Rumi, the nature of intention. He followed it, the work of the last 20 years of his life, including the power of intention. Change your thoughts, change your life. And wishes fulfilled came from that second preparation season. He didn't know, in either case, exactly where he was going. He just trusted what was unfolding. That's the message I want to leave you with. You don't need to know exactly where this preparation season is leading. You just need to trust that it is leading somewhere. Subscribe and stay close, there's more ahead. Like if this reached you. Comment. Which sign resonated most? I read every one. Don't die with your music still in you. Before you go, if any part of this video made you stop and think, that's not an accident. Wayne Dyer believed that the right message finds you at exactly the right moment. Maybe this was yours. If it was, hit subscribe. Not because I'm asking you to, but because there are more lessons like this one waiting for you on this channel. And you don't want to miss them. Hit the like button if this added something to your day. It takes 1 second and it helps more people find this content. People who might need it just as much as you did. And turn on notifications, so the next lesson shows up before life gets in the way. I'll see you in the next one. Don't die with your music still in you.